And sticking with breaking news out about the Rapides Parish, a man wanted for attempted first-degree murder was apprehended by U.S. Marshals yesterday. The Rapides Parish Sheriff's Office confirms that 27-year-old Gatlin O'Brien, Blue, is now in custody. Blue was wanted in connection to an attempted murder in Alexandria last Halloween. We previously covered the arrest of the 3 other suspects in the case last month. Blue was allegedly in Kellyland, where detectives identified a residence he frequented. That is where U.S. Marshals with the Violent Offender Task Force located and arrested Blue. He was transported to the Rapides Parish Detention Center, where he was booked on several charges, including 5 counts of attempted first-degree murders and 2 counts of armed robbery. He remains in custody at this time on a $330,000 bond.